when despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I come into the peace of wild things. I've turned and returned to this poem by Wendell Berry in many painful seasons. And I thought of them again as I looked at the message that I hoped to offer you this evening, and I wondered if it still felt resonant on a Shabbat filled with mourning and outrage and vulnerability. I wanted to share with you this evening a little bit of how I personally have been coping with that mixture of mourning, outrage, and vulnerability. Since Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lichtinsky were murdered, and an event highlighting an organization that supplies aid to Gaza, and another that supports displaced Israelis near the Gaza border. Since the deaths of Shiri, Ariel, and Kfir Bibas, since every twist of madness in Israel, in Gaza, in the West Bank, and our country, all the way back to October 7th. There is little that I can add to the sea of ink that has been spilled or the cyberspace that has been filled about how to make sense of or just navigate these times. So I'll tell you a little bit about what's been working for me. And I hope you'll tell me and share with one another a little bit about what's working for you. Here goes. Since my son Leo first started developing his own interests, he has been obsessed with construction and helping vehicles. Very unique. Thanks to Leo, we can name, whether we like it or not, just about any truck that you can think of. And to balance his interests, we all started learning about animals, starting with our pet turtle, Stevie. From Nat Geo for kids' books and YouTube videos, zoos, and nature walks. And while this interest began as something to share with Leo, it grew much more for me personally, thanks to brilliant nature and science writers like Ed Young and Cy Montgomery. When the time came last year to think about year-end giving, with so much of my daily life focused on Jewish causes, I just wanted to support wildlife. And I learned that my dollar goes much further right here in my backyard. I am now a proud card-carrying member of the Federated Conservationists of Westchester County and of the Sawmill River chapter of the National Audubon Society. And during my parental leave, I started taking Leo to nature sanctuaries all over Westchester. We even put a bird feeder just outside our kitchen window. And now our 2-year-old can identify chickadees, dark-eyed juncos, house finches, and tufted titmice. And I noticed that I started loving the world again. I started understanding, not just in my mind, but in my heart and in my soul, just how precious and vulnerable our earth is, and just how short my life is. How the earth must be preserved, not for my sake, not for my children's or my grandchildren's, not even for humanity's sake. These are all of the usual, highly valid reasons we give for environmental justice, but just for its own sake. I could almost say for God's sake. This is not to say that my heart is not in the East. Of course it is. Every day, my family and my friends are in harm's constant way in Israel. I have cousins in the army. My dear ones are targets in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, and Haifa. I recognize how easy it is to talk about the holiness of the natural world from relative safety here in the Hudson Valley. And we know that safety is all too relative. Yet that doesn't make it any less true. This week, we conclude the book of Leviticus, God's final instructions to Moses atop Mount Sinai before the Israelites set out into the wilderness. Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land that I give you, the land shall observe its own Shabbat in the 7th year, a year without sowing or pruning or reaping or harvesting. And in the 50th year, All land shall be returned to its original guardian. It's a radical, utopian notion, one that there is no evidence of having ever been successfully enacted in ancient Israelite society. And yet its message is clear. Ki li haaretz, that the land is God's. Ki gerim betoshavim atem imadi, that we are simply strangers and inhabitants with God. And in all the land that we hold, geulah titnu haaretz, that we are to bring about the redemption of that land. The commandment to cherish and preserve God's gift is not put aside while we deal with the struggles of our day. For there are always struggles of our day. Leviticus concludes with a terrifying vision of a world that has fallen apart into violence and chaos. The world that will be if we fail to care for it. God reminds us that before there was ever a covenant with Jacob or with Isaac or even Abraham, that God made a covenant with the earth. How significant is it that God's final instructions remind us of the bedrock of our civilization, that before our bond to our families, to our own people, to our species, comes our bond with the earth. It's for this reason that every evening and morning, before we give thanks for the gift of Torah, this symbol of our particular relationship with God, we give thanks for creation. In her book, The Human Cosmos, Jo Marchant shows that no one quite understands this bond like astronauts as they behold our pretty planet from the outside. Beautiful, so beautiful, exclaimed the Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin a few minutes after he was blasted into orbit in April 1961, becoming the first human being in space. He was talking not about the stars or the cosmos, but about our own planet. He later wrote and signed a message to the rest of us. People of the world, let us safeguard and enhance this beauty, not destroy it. Other astronauts have reported feeling, in their words, a strong sense of compassion and concern for the state of our planet and the effect that humans are having on it. You are standing guard over the whole of our earth. And when we love the world, it actually loves us back. When we heal our world, it heals us. The psychologist Dr. Keltner has shown that the sense of awe inspired by our natural world makes us more flexible, more creative, more connective. It allows us to look beyond daily concerns and make decisions that not only make us happier as individuals, but to sustain the planet and work for the benefit of humanity as a whole. And he links our diminished connection to nature to broader societal shifts that have made us more individualistic, more self-focused, more materialistic, and less connected to others. We are living through a time of extreme alienation for the Jewish people. Many of us feel rejected by people we once considered our allies in our efforts to repair the world. Many of us have lost our sense of trust in humanity and feel ourselves becoming more and more insular. Yet what if we remembered the land as God did? What if we fell back in love with our world? We might find, as I found, that we can emerge from our depression and we can rediscover awe and joy just like we were children again. And that awe might awaken our sacred responsibility to repair and bless our earth and all who live upon it, even when, especially when, we find it challenging to love and care about all of humanity. And we might remember that the world needs the Jewish people, even when we feel unwanted or unwelcome. This Memorial Day, this unofficial beginning of summer, I invite you, I charge you to come into the peace of wild things. Each week at Sharing Shabbat, I ask our kids and our grown-ups, what was something that made you love the world this week? I ask you the same question. if you're able, go find it outdoors, or simply in an awe-inspiring documentary or book or online publication. And if you want to know where I go searching, I'll happily share it with you. There is so much to love in this world, in God's world that we inhabit. You are the one, for this I pray, that I might have the strength to be alone, to see the world, to stand among the trees and all the living things, that I may stand alone and offer prayers and talk to you. You are the one to whom I do belong. And I'll sing my soul to you, and give you all that's in my heart. May all the foliage of the fields, all grasses, trees, and plants awaken at my coming, this I pray, and send their life into my words of prayer, so that my speech, my thoughts, and my prayers will be made whole, and through the spirit of all living things. And we know that everything is one, because we know that everything is you. You are the one, for this I pray. I ask you, God, to hear my words that pour out from my heart. I stand before you. I, like water, lift my hands to you in prayer, and grant me strength, to stand alone. You are the one to whom I do belong, and I'll sing my soul to you, and give you all that's in my heart. Shabbat Shalom.